Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English new edition for tonight headlines. So we have celebration of the National Solidarity Week in Ali Sabih region. For the international scene, US and NATO allies threaten to impose sanctions on Russia. Welcome to our newsroom. On Thursday, January 13, the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity celebrated the National Solidarity Week with the community of Ali Sabih. On this occasion, Ms. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, accompanied by her collaborators, elected officials, and local regional authorities, was welcomed with great pomp in the locality of Obolei, located 5 kilometers from the capital of the region of Ali Sabih. The locality of Obolei enjoys a climate conducive to agricultural exports and breeding of sheep and goats, an advantage that allows the population living there, including mainly the breeders, to be self-sufficient while strengthening the economic development of their locality. Pleased to welcome the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, the actors of agropastoral development whose rigors and constancy was felt during this day reflect along the new visions of the ministry, namely the empowerment of the population in precarious situations, indeed placed under the theme of the policy of fight against poverty towards more empowerment. The National Week of Solidarity is also a moment of exchange, sharing, and reflections, a privileged moment and an opportunity for the locals to solicit and reinforce their needs for the living conditions and their economic development. The prefect of Ali Sabih region and the president of the regional council intervened during this meeting with the community of Obolei. They thanked the minister for her interests in the rural communities that benefit from the project set up by her department. The local officials reassured the inhabitants of Obolei that they will closely follow the request made and will fully play their role as a link between the parties. One of the highlights of this meeting with the population of Obolei was undoubtedly the parts devoted to the grievance and in particular the expectations of the various stakeholders representing the inhabitant. Among the stakeholders, among a woman in particular who was a member of the local communities. Among the speakers, one woman in particular was keen to pay tribute to the First Lady. During the exchanges, the beneficiaries expressed their desire to see a greater number of individuals benefit from the project in order to further promote the economic growth of the region. The speaker focused on agricultural, which remains the main activities in the area. They also requested that resources be made available to them, particularly to irrigate their agricultural perimeter. After listening at length the interventions of the grievance, the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdo, made a point of providing answers to these requests. The constant was without equivocation as for detail on the achievement in this rural area. The Minister Ulufa Ismail Abdo reassured the population by promising to provide all the necessary assistance regarding, among other things, the pump or more generally the irrigation systems to optimize the yield of agricultural activities. Finally, the minister closed the visit of Ali Sabih with the CPEC, which is an initiative of the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, launched in the framework of the fight against poverty. This governmental action has been successful in the localities of Ali Sabih. The role of the social counters is to welcome, listen to, and identify the needs of families by conducting social survey at home. The visit to the Savings and Credit Union CPEC, which is an institution to increase access to financial services to all socioeconomic categories of the countries, including micro businesses, the informal sector, women, and young entrepreneurs, was also marked by a meeting that the minister held with the local officials and those of the CPEC in the region. The awareness campaign on the mandatory wearing of the mask operated by the National Police is still ongoing after public transport and private cars. The National Police has crisscrossed the streets of downtown Djibouti yesterday evening to raise awareness on the wearing of masks, which is now mandatory in public places, the restaurant places of the great frequentations, hairdressing salon, stores, in short, all places that welcome the population must strictly ensure the wearing of the mask. This measure, like a vaccination, is an essential condition to protect our population. Indeed, it has been noted recently as slackening of the respect of the barrier measures and the increase of positive cases of COVID-19. It is in this perspective that the National Police has undertaken large-scale awareness operation to remind people that wearing a mask is now mandatory. This is to ensure the health of our population and remind them that respecting the barrier gestures saves lives. So more than ever, protect yourself and your loved ones. The most anticipated moment of the evening was the presentation of the trophy of the International Somali Awards in the file of sports. This year, the trophy was given to Abdul Karim Abdallah Qubaye, elected Sportsman of the Year. In the file of entrepreneurship, the trophy was awarded to Beidan, a coffee company that is setting up a shop everywhere for the educational and teaching path. This trophy was awarded to Awali Ahmed. Mama Hawa Muhammad Adam was awarded a trophy for her outstanding contribution to the community. The trophy for innovation was awarded to Wafi. The Arts and Entertainment Award was presented to Astan TV. The Lifetime Achievement Award was presented to Aden Farah Samatar. And finally, the entrepreneur's Fathia Idle Dubad was awarded the Special Recognition Prize. As part of its charitable activities, the Association Karmakaran went this Thursday, January 13, 2022, to Kontali, a locality in the regions of Tehel, located 13 kilometers from the chief town of to organize a day of solidarity for the benefit of the inhabitants of Kontali. Thus, as for the other localities already visited, the association proceeded to the distributions of sanitary materials to fight against the propagation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mosquito nets to protect the populations from malaria and other vector diseases, clothing for the young girls and boys, and warm clothes to spend the winters in optimal conditions for the adults and children. Finally, of the food parcel made up inter alia of pasta reinforced in calorie. In addition, the school children of the village's elementary school have benefited from large donations of school supplies kits handed over personally by Mr. Ali Hilaf Muhammad, president of the Karmakaran Association, to the village leader. The family of Umar Muhammad is looking for their son Ahmed Umar Muhammad, who disappeared since last Wednesday. They live in Ngela. He left the house last Wednesday at 12 EM. Since that day, he has not seen food in the houses. Anyone who has seen little Ahmed Umar Muhammad is asked to call the following number: 7707881277625272, or bring him to the nearest police station. For the international scene, after 4 hours of intense negotiations, the United States and its NATO allies have rejected Russian demands on Ukraine, but the alliance wants to keep the door open for talks. Interviewed by Euronews, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman warned about the threat of a Russian invasion against Kyiv. There will be a significant economic cost if Russia takes this action. I think the Vladimir Putin knows that he will have hurt a lot of solidarity through the week, insisted the American official. Wendy Sherman assures that the allies will be united in imposing sanctions if he makes his wrong choice. The tone is identical from the NATO Secretary General. There is no questions of unilateral reductions of alliance forces in the face of a strengthening of Russia's military capabilities along the border with Ukraine. And to close up this edition, after testing positive for COVID-19 in December, while his participation in Australian Open is still on hold, in a post on Instagram, the unvaccinated world #1 tennis player said his team had provided additional information to Australian authorities who are considering and revoking his visa against deporting him. We are living in difficult times in a global pandemic, and sometimes mistakes happen, pleaded Djokovic, who is currently training to compete in the Australian Open starting Monday. The 34-year-old was seen in public in Belgrade the day after December 13, when he tested positive, according to the information he provided to Australian immigration. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.